So this next person is a longtime friend of our family, but she's an amazing human being. Her name is Christy Sallee. Okay. So Christy Sallee is a music professor, and I believe is in South Florida.
She's South Florida, and Polk State.
And Polk State as a music professor, and she's been a pianist the entire amount of her life. I've known her. She's a very close one of my sisters, and she's a concert level pianist, like literally a world class. Super. Wouldn't tell you that about herself, but she is. Contacted her and wanted to have that more variety feel of what's going on. And she's going to explain some things to you and talk about things, but she is going to play a Beethoven piece for us. And part of the thing with this is we want you to think about using anything you're talented at to help other people. So some of these guys are phenomenally strong. Brooke is a chef and does body weight stuff. And Christy's a pianist. And you know what? Whatever you can do to help other people and make the world a better place, do it. And don't let yourself off the hook. Become good at all kind of stuff because you really can. And so I'll shut up and let's let Christy talk to you and play.
Hi, I'm Christy Sallee. I'm a Lakeland, Florida piano teacher, and I'm an adjunct music professor at Polk State College and at Florida Southern College. And the Jeffreys have been lifelong friends of mine. So when Bud asked me to participate in today's wonderful event, of course, I said yes. But I started to see all of the list of performance plans roll in and all of these incredible feats of strength, and I started to really wonder, what could I contribute to this, especially kind of staying on the theme here. I'm no strongman, that's for sure. So in the end, I decided that today I'd like to share with you some Beethoven for a good reason. Beethoven, by all accounts, lived a very difficult life. We all know him as the fiery, anguished genius, aggressive character, and certainly that's part of who he was. But he also had an abusive father, and he lost his mother at a very young age, and he struggled with painful chronic health problems his whole life. And in his 20s, he began to lose his hearing, which for a musician and for a composer, that's it could end your career, probably would have for most of us. And when he's 28, Beethoven's doctor sends him to a neighboring town for a cure, and the cure is not effective. So Beethoven at this time in his life really starts to despair. He's suicidal. And we have this incredible document. It's kind of a letter, it's kind of a will that he wrote at this time, in which he begins to work through his personal despair. And in the end, he decided that his art was worth living for. He decided that he found hope in the future of his own ability to create and contribute to mankind and to history through his art. And to me, that is also a feat of strength, the ability to find hope in the midst of truly awful circumstances. And we see these competing themes throughout Beethoven's music, really, of struggle and of hope. And so today I want to share with you probably my favorite movement from a piano sonata. This is a famous piano sonata. It's called the Pathétique Sonata, that's its nickname. And most of us have heard how it begins. And even if you haven't heard that, we can probably right away say, oh, yeah, that sounds like Beethoven. And this first movement is tumultuous, has themes that give me anxiety anyway, but they sound anxious and like a struggle. But we get to the end of the first movement, and then we have this fermata over arrest. So arrest to pause, and the fermata to pause a little longer. And after all of that upheaval, Beethoven offers us this warm and comforting, beautiful piece of music that I think kind of carries through that theme. So this is the Adagio cantabile from the same sonata.
So we're again working out a little audio issue. We're going to speak up a little bit so you can hear us better. Thank you, Christy, for an amazing piece. I mean, and for you and Brooke generally bringing up the coolness level of the thugs that are hanging out here with us today. Seriously, a beautiful, beautiful piece. I mean, Christy, you're just amazing, and we really love that you came out and did this for us, and we really appreciate you supporting us in Noah's Army and just being a generally nice human being. And people are telling us on the chats it's beautiful, and it's phenomenal piece. And
I'd like to tell a little story. I wanted to tell this to...
It's a story.
It's a story, yeah. No, I wanted to tell this to Christy after she sent us all of the footage that she did. But it meant a great deal to me because not many people know that when Noah learned how to play an instrument, he did it, yes, because he absolutely wanted to know how to play an instrument, and it had to do with, rehabilitating his mind and being able to process dyslexia and function the way anybody else would, any kind of a student would. But that music, what it meant to him, it became a release. It became his peace. It became his calm. And he was so driven. I mean, he did all the strength stuff, the shooting. He was so very physically motivated by everything that he did. But music was where he found calm. And a lot of times when he was completely stressed out from competition or events or, striving to do whatever he was working towards doing, he'd go into his room and he'd pick up one of his instruments and he would just start playing. The only instrument that he didn't ever have a lesson for was a piano. He had a keyboard and he knew how to read music, and he figured it out. He just figured out he taught himself how to play a piano. But when he was first learning how, I didn't know that he knew that my favorite piece of music was Pachelbel's Canon in D major. And it's a piece that I would listen to anytime I was really sad, and it meant a lot to me between me and my grandparents. And my grandmother had just passed away, and I came home, and I was sitting in my office working. Noah was in his room doing his schoolwork and his music and things like that. And I didn't know that he knew that I was sad. He was 12. Yeah. And, I mean, I knew he knew I was sad, but I didn't know that he knew how really depressed that I really was, because I just keep going. I just keep doing what I'm doing. And I'm sitting in my office, and my office was in the third bedroom of the house, and he had the second bedroom. And as I'm sitting there working on the computer, I start noticing that I'm hearing Pachelbel's Canon. And I'm thinking, what in the world? Where is that music coming from? And I get up and I walk out of the office and I look down the hallway into his bedroom, and his keyboard is set up right there, right in the doorway. And he's just playing along, playing Pachelbel. And I walked into his room. He finished the piece that he played. He played a small section of it. And I walked in his room and I said, where did you learn how to play that? And he said, well, I learned how to play it for you. I said, you did what? And he said, well, I know that that's your favorite piece. I said, how'd you know that? And he said, you play it all the time. And I guess I never really said it to him, but he heard me play, he heard me play it often. And I said, where did you get the sheet music? And he said, I just figured it out. I kept playing it over and over again, on the computer until I figured it out. And I always thought that was so amazing, that it was a demonstration to me of how the mind works and the brain develops, even beyond if you have one particular thing that it doesn't process well. But the depth of him as a person at 12 years old, that he chose to do that, I thought that was amazing and astonishing, and it gave me a little small glimpse of who I perceived he might be when he became an adult. But I like to share that story with music teachers, because sometimes only music teachers can appreciate what music really teaches beyond just you're playing an instrument or you're learning this piece of music. What it breeds into you and what it can get out of you and germinates into your life is extraordinary.